Hey y'all, welcome to my show. We are live again. I'm sitting here wanting to educate you stupid fucks that want to be stupid. So, I'm going to take a minute while I get everything set up here to stay on longer. That's plugged in. Get this on. I'm going to play a video for you guys. Hmm. Let's see. Let's do this one.
Let's talk about your pick. Most antiperspirants have ingredients you can't even pronounce. The pain was so severe that I couldn't get to sleep. So about 1 o'clock in the morning, I decided, well, I should finish packing. So I started moving boxes. And then while I was moving some stuff, I felt something on my leg, and it was blood. At first, I was relieved, and I thought that means the cyst is getting ready to rupture. Once they would rupture, she would feel better. But I didn't feel better. It just got worse. My back was hurting. It was the worst pain I've ever felt. So I went to get in the jacuzzi thinking that was going to help. I was actually just shooting jets of water right at where I thought the cyst was, thinking I could shake it loose or something. That wasn't helping. Nothing was helping. I couldn't get uncomfortable. I was sweating, my stomach hurt, my side hurt, and I was having a hard time walking around.
In spite of the agonizing pain, Tiffany still didn't call for help.
I thought, I'm not going to do that. I'll just wait and see what happens. At this point in time, I didn't know that it was anything other than a ruptured cyst.
It breaks my heart that she was so used to the pain from these cysts that she thought that was normal.
I put the phone, the only phone in the house, in the kitchen. Pain was making me sick. I just had to lie down. And it was a few minutes after that I felt something heavy. It felt like something flipping inside. The doctors had told me that some of the cysts, if they didn't rupture, they could twist an ovary. That's actually what I thought was happening. I wasn't going to make it to the phone. There was all the blood. I thought, that's it. I'm going to hemorrhage. Please stop the pain. It was very lonely and scary. I really did think I was going to die alone.
Tiffany was now terrified that her excruciating pain was more than just a cyst.
I could actually feel something between my legs. I don't know what it is. It was just this crippling pain.
She decided she had to find a way to investigate.
I couldn't even walk to the bathroom. I was kind of crawling. And I get a mirror and I look, and what I think was going to be a cyst or blood or whatever, I just thought, I have to see it.
But nothing had prepared Tiffany for what was reflected in the mirror.
And that's when I saw a head, and I can see hair.
Okay, everybody. If you want to see more, go find I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant on what used to be TLC. It used to appear on there years ago. And women of any size, of any gender, of any, well, not any gender, women, of any race can go through this, can go through pregnancy and never know it. It's not just big girls. Skinny girls go through it. You know your body well enough to what's normal to you. I suffer from a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome. It can cause diabetes. It can cause heart disease. It can cause a lot of health conditions. And when I was pregnant with Osiris, my PCOS was out of control. I had the pregnancy diabetes. My hormone levels were out of control. I wasn't taking, because I didn't know I was even pregnant, let alone to take the vitamins for pregnancy. Now that I'm recovering from this ordeal, they took a lot of tests on me in the hospital. I had lost 6 pints of blood. I was in septic shock because of losing so much blood. The placenta was attached to the uterus wall. And it couldn't come out. So I had to go into surgery, and they had to do that. Um, the baby got stuck by his shoulders in there because it was really big. He was nearly 25 inches long, 8 pounds, 13 ounces. I guess from hearing that, I went to go see a psychic last night. Um, she told me about the baby. There was something wrong with his heart and lungs, that they weren't working properly. And if he did survive, he would have died at 3 years old anyway. And that would have been a bigger heartache. My mental is extremely messed up right now. But you trolls, you don't affect me right now because, or ever again, you won't affect me. I've already hit something so horrific that I don't think anyone would be able to go through. I wasn't able to have anyone by my side when I gave birth. My sister had to be in the waiting room because they wouldn't let her in to even support me and help me to breathe and help me to push things that a, a supporter and the father would be doing it in the delivery room of a hospital. I didn't get that. I had to suffer through it all alone. And I still came out strong. After the baby came out, they were probing me full of needles and getting blood and doing cultures. And me, I thought they brought me some alcohol. Freaking no, it was the blood cultures. But during all that, before even all that, as soon as they got him out, they had him on the table for a few. But then when they were done and waiting for the placenta to come out naturally, they put him on my chest where the picture shows. And I just looked at him with loving and the way mothers look at their babies, whether if they're alive or dead. I just kept asking him to come back, to come back. He wasn't coming back. Wasn't coming back at all. I said, why don't you think of a name for him? Even though they knew he was dead too. Why don't you think of a name? So I did. Two names kept running through my mind. His name that I eventually chose, and the name Ezekiel. I thought, after a while, trying to figure out his middle name, Ezekiel wasn't fitting anymore. So I looked at him more and more until the name Osiris popped into my head. Osiris Charles George. And then my last name. Some things were scary before he showed up as a pregnancy, because the father was not a good father figure for any child to follow in his footprints. You know, I think that's why I have such a hatred for people like Dulce's personality. Because he reminds me of my child's father. And every man that is his personality. It's not something you want your sons or daughters to want, to emulate or want a man just like him. Because he's not somebody to want to emulate. He's not somebody to want to have for your daughters. He's not all that in a bag of chips, as we used to say in the 90s. When they were trying to get blood out of my left arm, they kept probing, kept trying to get blood that just was not coming out. They got an ultrasound machine to try and find a vein. The most that they were finding was the main vein artery to your heart. They weren't able to get any blood out of me. When he finally did find a vein that was able to be found and use, he stuck me twice doing the same thing with the IV thing. And when he did get in there, he just kept poking through to find the walls of the vein so it could sit in there well. I screamed and cried at the same time because I was such in pain. That hurt worse than the labor and delivery. I was not on any drugs when I delivered my son. I didn't have the shot in my back, didn't have any pain meds, didn't have none of that. I didn't even get to have any water or any freaking ice chips or nothing you usually get when you're delivering. My mouth was so dry that night. But all day I was in labor and didn't even know it. Didn't even register that I could have been in labor. I thought I was just constipated. I thought my kidneys hurt. You know, you don't think when you're going through that, you're going through labor and delivery. I did. I did. And I went through it without any drugs. Took it all naturally. Couldn't sleep in those hospital beds. They cut me open in surgery to get the placenta out because it was stuck on the uterus walls. I can't go near the hospital now. And if I step foot on the hospital grounds, I I get anxiety. I start freaking out. And if I stay there too long, I'll break down and cry. That's why I hope if my son gets to come back in 5 years, I'm hoping 5 years at least, and he's well enough to stay. I wouldn't have to go through feeding tubes down my son's throat or in my son's nose. I wouldn't have to suffer with having to go to the hospital every day for medical stuff and every week and every month for medical. And then him dying 3 years later. Anyway, Cavalli, if you're there and you want to get your tattoo thing on you of my son in any form, I love it. And I hope you do. Because I hope that with everything that is in life, everything that goes on. I wish for a better outcome than what I've dealt with. Because nobody could be able to go through that. It's a hard ordeal. It's not easy to go through. It's very difficult. I wish that no woman ever goes through what I dealt with. I hope as life goes on that I never deal with this again. Because it's hard. I also have a thing that the doctors state it's called postpartum depression. All I want is my son. That's all I want. I don't care about you trolls. To me, you're a dime a dozen. Never ending form of stupidity. Never ending form of kick a woman while she's down. Don't you trolls think that I've gone through enough than to deal with you? But you know, Dos, you are now no longer a factor. I've got bigger fish to deal with, and you are nothing to me. I now put you, French Dos, in the Pisces graveyard. And to anybody that knows Pisces enough, knows that being put there is the worst you could ever get. No more attention for Dos. Especially from me, anyway. As life goes on, this will get easier. My PTSD will be gone, but the depression will never go away. I'll be fighting depression for the rest of my life. And not just with the baby, but having PCOS as well. Yes, I may be overweight. Yes, I may not be healthy to society standards. But I am healthy enough that my blood works always come out perfect. It's just keeping them perfect. I'm going to be doing a lot of therapy. Because it's not a bad thing to know when you need help from a professional that has gone through schooling to become a psychologist. I'm not going on meds unless I absolutely need them because I'm going to look for alternatives of medications. I don't like pills. They hurt the body worse than helping it. The only time when meds are necessary is when there's no herbs to help it. Schooling is going to be happening. And when I go back to school, hopefully when it reopens in the fall, and everybody gets to go back on the college campuses, there'll be more jewelry making class in my future. I'll probably have no time for YouTube. That probably doesn't mean I won't be cranking out videos either. Maybe if I can find a tripod, there'll be jewelry making videos where I can actually use the stuff I was trained in. The torches and the machines and the drill and the polisher machine, casting and all that stuff. All that wonderful stuff that I absolutely love doing. See, working with your hands, no matter if it's mechanics or building, or as long as you get to use your hands to make something into reality, it's the best feeling in the world. To know that you brought something from nothing into this world. See, the arts isn't something that you could teach. Good artists, you can't teach that. That's natural. You can't mold it in a certain way in order to teach it. Real art, real art comes from your mind and your feelings. The greats of it never knew what they were doing. They just did it. It's how we got Beethoven, Symphony Number 5. Beethoven was deaf, and he cranked out such miraculous stuff. Michelangelo. No, not the Ninja Turtles, but the greatest artists of the world. Michelangelo, Donatello. Well, all the Ninja Turtles were based off names of Italian artists, but they weren't turtles, they were humans. They were real people, and their stuff was great. Their stuff was great work. I don't know if things will happen the way they do. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know any of it. I do know these last several months that I've been in this community, a lot of you people are very evil to each other. Very evil. I sit here and I look at what each of you are doing to each other. And I think, how do they have the right to judge another when their stuff is bad too? It's not our job to judge other people. It's not our job to sit there and say that person is bad and that person is bad and that person did this and that person did that. And why are you with them knowing that they're bad? Question is you're doing it to yourself too. Knowing what you know, why would you accept followers knowing that you're the same type of bad that person is that you're pointing the finger at when there's three pointing back at you? We're all guilty of sitting there and pointing the finger at somebody else just to not make us look bad. But have you ever tried to look at yourself and seen what faults you have? I know I've looked back at what I've done in many communities. Even though they were not bad things, they still damaged. They still hurt people. It's not our job to judge. That's somebody else's job. Whether it's God or what, that's somebody else's job. I'm not a Christian. Never was. Since high school, I never was. I didn't fit with the Christian rules. I didn't fit with what Christians believe they are, even today's standards. I didn't fit that mold. Because if you really look at the Christian standard, no Christian actually follows it. They think they do, but they don't. So you can't call yourselves Christians. And you can't even follow what is stated in that book. You can't even follow what Jesus was doing back in those days. Couldn't even follow his example, let alone call yourselves Christians. Jesus didn't judge anybody. And he was married to a whore. He married her. And she was known as a whore. And he's the only one in this world that can change a whore into a housewife. Not a lot of you can. The old saying is can't change a whore into a housewife. Well, there was only one on this planet that could. She was willing enough to change. Yet men want to be mad because women are on an equal footing of males. Well, did you ever think that women are probably at least higher than a man? Because we're the ones who give birth to your children. We're the ones who take the pain of childbirth. Don't you think we deserve more credit than what you men are giving us? I mean, femininity is the feminist act is great to a certain point, but at the same time, there are things us women do that deserve respect. There's a lot of us out here who don't do what other women do. I mean, I know I can't say it now because freaking I didn't get a train run on me when I got pregnant with my son. I know who his father is. His father's a lowlife. His father was something that a lot of fathers tell their child not to be with because they don't understand the word I don't want to at this point. Or they pressure someone to do what they don't want to do. Don't think it's rape, people, because it's not. I consented. Eventually, I did consent. And going on your emotions is not the best idea. It's just not. Going the other way, it's not best either. Women, protect yourselves no matter what a man wants. And a man should be respectful enough to say it's okay if she's not ready to give their hearts like that. Because there's certain women out here who give their hearts to that person they're intimate with. And we get hurt just as badly, if not worse, than women who just sleep around willingly and don't care on what happens or the emotions that get in the way. Some of us can't do that. Some of us can't turn off our feelings. That's why we should never give in to peer pressure. That's why we should never give in to what a man wants. Because, quite frankly, men are not superiority. Men are not superior. Men take what they want, and not all of them give back. See, this is why I don't have relationships with white boys anymore. But at the same time, not all black guys are saviors either. Not all of them are good. And women, we must be picky. We must be picky. Very, very picky. I miss my son dearly every day. He was a good soul. Toast, how dare you state what you stated in your video? And I can play it back. I can. Because there is a clip out there. You should really hear yourself and what you stated. Because it doesn't shine a light to who you are as a person. It doesn't paint you in a good picture. I often wonder how your people seem to still follow you after that. quite frankly, I think they should all say SMD to you and walk out. That's what I think. I think they should all tell you to SMD and walk. And let your channel be as bare as when you started. Because you're nothing to fraternize about. And nobody's lying about you, Dose. It's what you're saying that proves you wrong. It proves you're a liar. And you want to turn around, state at your next live that you never said what you said. When all your lives prove otherwise. So who's really lying, Dos? Because it's not the rest of us. Your videos and lives state what they state. I did get you an interview with Anonymous Liberty Media, also known as the Worldwide Resistance Network. They wanted to talk to you, but as they kept watching you, they saw that you were not a good fit for our group. The only one that can blame that is yourself. You had an opportunity to speak with higher people that know conspiracies and what you question. You had a chance to get your answers because you were hitting the nail on the head with your questions. But you didn't want your answers fast enough. And you didn't want your answers at all. That's a group that I started at, Dos, way before I had a channel. My first show with that group was the Las Vegas shooting. And that was, let's see, how long ago was the Las Vegas shooting? October 1st, 2017. That was my very first shot on YouTube. In 2017. October the 1st. That was exactly 4 years ago. My channel didn't come up until My channel didn't come forth until October 29th, 2019. Now, why is it if I'm such a new YouTuber? Why is it I'm shown on YouTube 2 years before my channel even started? Hmm, kind of interesting there, huh? My channel started 2017. I started on YouTube in 2017. My channel started in 2019. Hmm, sounds like I'm an original OG YouTuber before I even had the YouTube channel. And a lot of communities and a lot of big time trolls out here know who I am. Several professional trolls who I am friends with. I've known one of them for about as long as I've been on YouTube. So, 4 years now. I've known him for 4 years. He's the best troll I know. I know another one. He's another known. I know 3 known trolls that troll people. And why is it to get a very good insult, I have to go to JB Gunner to get it? Why is that? Oh, because your guys' insults ain't shit. They make me laugh. They make me laugh. They're actually kind of funny. But yeah. I'm gonna get off of here. I've spent enough time on here for the day. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this today anymore. We'll try and see tomorrow if I feel more up to it than I do now. Catch y'all on the flip side. Later.